What is the truth? That all this is nothing but the one infinite consciousness, and that there is naught else besides. Whatever is seen and whatever is unseen, all that is the infinite consciousness. Thus should the wise one realize, so purifying his vision. This isn't just an idea, a metaphysical notion. It's something which is empirically obvious. Whether the author of this passage is talking doctrinally or from their own experience isn't clear. But whatever the case, it's something that we can realize empirically for ourselves. Unpurified vision perceives the world. This is when you've not really looked, when you've not really inquired into the nature of the world and into the nature of yourself. You can't really inquire into the nature of the world to a great extent. The only thing you can inquire into completely is your own self, because you have intimate access to it. And by practicing this, the wise one purifies his vision. It's something which becomes clearer and clearer. Unpurified vision perceives the world. Unpurified vision is caught up in notions of an external world. Purified vision perceives the infinite consciousness, and that itself is liberation. Purified vision is consciousness itself, perceiving itself. Hence, O Ram, strive to eradicate the desire for experience, get rid of idleness, free yourself from all experiences. We've got this tendency to allow our attention to be hijacked by all sorts of things, all sorts of notions. This is what we need to become aware of. Reclaim the attention, direct it back on itself. We're told to get rid of idleness. This isn't admonishing us just to get on with it. What this is saying is, don't fall into the trap of having nothing to do with the world. You think, oh yes, that's all experience, I'm not going to get involved in that, I'll just withdraw into myself here. It's not about that either. We don't want to fall into that trap, so we're being told to get rid of idleness as well. You engage fully with what's going on, but without being taken in by it. Ram asked, Lord, how can these two be reconciled? Can I seek freedom from all experiences and freedom from inactivity at the same time? Vasishta replied, He who has no desire or hope for anything here, nor entertains a wish to rest in inactivity, such a one does not exist as a jiva. In other words, such a person has transcended notions of their own individuality. He is neither inactive nor does he seek to experience. He who does not lean towards experience or perception of objects. This is the belief that we're experiencing objects, that we're actually perceiving objects. This is a notion. He who does not lean towards experience or perception of objects, though he is engaged in ceaseless activity, he is neither inactive nor does he do anything or experience anything. Everything is simply happening. I suppose you could describe the personal wisdom as like an unclogged drain. Everything is just flowing through it. Everything is just flowing through him. Nothing's getting stuck. The objective experiences do not touch the heart at all. The objective experiences are experiences of objects. Hence, he whose consciousness is not inactive is a liberated sage here and now. And we've possibly got a word of caution here about the tradition of yogic practice, of just sitting there in meditation. this is somehow seen as the summit of yogic spirituality. But from the spirituality of self-inquiry, it's got nothing to do with that. It's not about sitting in a cloud of bliss. It's about being active, but without being taken in by it. It's about realizing you're playing a game. But once you realize you're playing a game, you don't play the game any less effectively for that. In fact, somehow you can throw yourself into the game with more gusto. Freed from all conditioning, fully established in a state of unmodified consciousness, the yogi remains like a child or a dumb person. In him there is bliss, like the blueness of the sky. This bliss is not an experience, but the very nature of consciousness. Now this bliss, again, I think is something which arises from traditional yoga. You'd think if bliss was our essential nature, we might be aware of it more readily. Well, on the other hand, it is possible to blot out the brightness of the sun with your thumb. But I have to admit, personally, I'm not too happy with this word bliss. It's not how I would describe things. In fact, I've got a description here of satori by the Japanese Zen Buddhist D T Suzuki, who says in his Essays in Zen Buddhism, he's describing satori, which is the realization of one's true identity, as impersonal, prosaic, unattractive, an experience singularly devoid of human emotions. He goes on to say, there is in it, on the contrary, something that may be termed cold, scientific evidence or matter-of-factness. I might come back to that quotation another time. But I would tend to agree with Suzuki there. Although you have to be very careful that you're not getting caught up in some very deep negativity. In him there is bliss, like the blueness of the sky. So bliss we can understand as non-negativity. It's like the clear blue sky, which has its own kind of refreshing quality. Although we can't really talk of it as having any quality. But certainly there's no quality of negativity within it. This bliss is not an experience, but the very nature of consciousness. Hence, it does not act as a disturbance, but remains integrated in the consciousness. There is freedom from all experiences. At the same time, the yogi is constantly engaged in action, hence there is freedom from inactivity. So I would say this is the yogi. This is the yogi of self-inquiry, the spiritual practitioner.